Hello, welcome back to my channel. So, I am putting together my TBR for next month. If you've been watching my channel already, you've seen my TBR for my physical books, which is active now, and overlaps the Dewey's readathon TBR through the end of this month, but then it'll just be the physical TBR from my previous video. But there's a second half to my TBR for August, and that is the ARCs. So if you haven't done ARCs before, ARCs are Advanced Reader Copies, ARC. There's also galleys. So some of the ARCs you get are galleys, as opposed to true ARCs, I guess. A galley is, it's got like the marks for the printer to line up all the pages in the press. And it's not the ready to publish copy. Usually an ARC is one that's ready to publish. If there's errors, they can still correct it, but that's basically the book that comes out before the professional run that gets sold to stores. So it's as close to ready as an early copy is going to be. And then sometimes you get manuscripts that are kind of somewhere between the two, or if it's not going to be done as a paper printed book. I've noticed some of them, they're basically galleys, but they just don't have those marks, but they're still obviously not quite ready. They might not have all the page numbers in, like C page blah blah blah. It'll actually say, like, the last one I read, it was TK that they put in place of the page numbers. So things like that, they won't have the author's bio page populated yet, and some of the footnotes may be blank and stuff like that. So why do we read these? Because these are the copies that go out early to kind of drum up interest in the book and get some reviews and some reactions before the book comes out. So when you read a brand new book and it's already got ratings, that's probably part of what's going on, is people have gotten early copies. And that also gets people started talking about a book, because most people are more likely to buy a book if they've heard people that they trust talking about the book. And we all do that. That's, why BookTube works. We all talk about the books we read and end up adding books to our TBRs and then going and reading the books ourselves. And it kind of offsets some of the high-end marketing, because you can throw a lot of money at marketing a book. We've all seen those books that make the bestseller list, and they're crappy books, and they just come out of a publishing house that's willing to put lots of money into marketing that book. And a lot of them end up showing up in great numbers at used bookstores later, unread, because they weren't that great. They just got more marketing than they deserved. So, book marketing is fun. I'm not a professional in it. I've just been reading ARCs and galleys and early copies for years, off and on. Never quite what I want yet, because there are people, most of them live closer to publishing houses, which I don't. And most of them have jobs or connections in the book world, which I don't. But that actually get books sent to them. Like, publishing houses will send them a box of, here's our newest books. I don't know if it happens as much now as it used to, but it probably does, because it's actually kind of cheap if you get all those books into the hand of somebody that can market your books for you for free. So the price of a copy of book gets you all the, word of mouth publicity that you can get from this person that obviously has enough standing in the book world to actually make a difference. I don't know who all gets to those. It's not really something that everybody talks about, I guess. Every once in a while they'll mention that they got these things from a publisher or whatever, but But it's kind of bragging at that point, and kind of just want to know about the book from the people, not how great they are and why they get all their books for free. So yeah, so I don't even know the extent of that yet. But when I started out, just finding out about ARCs and that side of the book world, like, I want to do that. I want people to just send me boxes of the new books and I'll read them. And I'm totally serious. If anybody is involved, especially with the long lists, oh my gosh, they're probably not watching my channel. But I fantasize about one day being the sort of person that the long lists will just, the awards long lists to just send me a box of all of their long list books. I totally would read them. Even like the Dublin Literary Award, whose long list is 70 or more books. If they sent me a box of those 70 or more books, I read about 30 books a month or more. Obviously, or more lately, because I'm way ahead of my intended reading right now. But I could finish the Dublin Literary Award long list in about 2 months and a couple weeks. The entire thing. So if they sent me the box, all the books, I could read them all. And, I don't know what benefit that would get them, except that I would know all the books and be talking about all the books. And I totally would. And certainly for the short long lists, like Women's Prize long list, it's 16 books or 12 books, somewhere in there. 16 books, I think. That's half a month. I could definitely do that in 1 month. And the only reason it takes me longer is that it's so hard to find all the books. So, yeah. Anyway, an aside, probably nobody from any of those things actually watches my channel, because I only have a couple hundred viewers at all on the planet. So, there is that. Anyway, nonetheless, there's a bunch of us that read the ARCs, and, most people don't read 30 books a month. So don't worry, you don't have to do that. Most people read a couple books a month, and if they include ARCs in those books, that's great. And they write a review for the books. At the very least, they write feedback on the Netgalley site or whatever site they get the book from. And then they post their reviews to wherever they review books. So it's pretty open-ended what that means. I mostly just review on Goodreads. I don't like to support Amazon. I'm still annoyed that they're connected with Goodreads and all that. Like, I really don't like that Goodreads is connected to a bookseller at all, like, on that scale. And I can't help but notice that when you type a title into the search bar in Goodreads now, you can type the title exactly. And as you're typing the title, you'll see the one you're looking for flash up in the options and then disappear and be replaced by something that has nothing to do with what you're looking for by the time you get the full title typed out. Like, that's not a good search bar, and that's that slimy advertising marketing stuff that goes on that tries to trick you into getting books that you're not looking for, or to look at ads that you don't need to be looking at because you only needed a couple seconds to find the book. Right. Anyway, grumble. Why am I so grumbly? Because I read an ARC. Actually, I was grumbly before, but I read an ARC that was like, here is why all of your technology and internet stuff sucks. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And it definitely sucks. Yeah. So if you too have been grumbling about such things, read Enshittification by Cory Doctorow. It comes out in October 7th, I believe. Really good book. A little light on the actual actionable advice for the average everyday user of technology. So that would be my biggest criticism. That's why it was 4.5 stars instead of 5 for me. But everything besides that was really good. If he just had not said that he was going to give you advice on what to do about it, then it would have been fine. But because he promised early in the book that there would be advice on what to do about it later in the book, and then that advice was all policy-oriented stuff that most of us can grumble about, but we aren't writing bills and putting them through Congress because we're not in the jobs that do that. And we're not lobbyists, and there's only certain roles for whom that advice is actually actionable in the near future. The rest of us need things we can do that aren't just lobby your Congress people to do these things. We've got a lot of stuff we're lobbying our Congress people for right now, and I'm sure that they would be overwhelmed if we really did put all of the ideas for all of the different interest areas on their laps all at once in our phone calls to them. The most important things on our priority lists would get drowned out. So, anyway, but it was a really good book, and certainly is a good book for drumming in that it's not just you. No, actually, it's been decades since we've had public internet. And yeah, the internet should be better. It's not because of monopolies and because of unfair business practices. And the fact that having better internet would mean that you don't need to shop around for better internet and other things. And I'm still not sure about why they actually wouldn't want to just make better internet. But that, I'm sure there's a really obvious reason that I'm just not looking at it right. So we have one of the more modern technologies for internet that is in a flagship city phase right now, and so we're in one of the locations that gets it. It's faster, but on a good day. On a bad day, it's still laggy and barely works a lot of the time, which is weird. This is the kind of internet technology that I would have expected 15 or 20 years ago. Could we make it actually work now? Anyway, yeah. So if that's your grumble, Enshittification, great word. I know there are several booktubers that have been on chats with me when I was reading it that also love that word. It's just a great word. So anyway, that's an arc I finished this week. Good book. The arc I'm currently reading is My Documents by Kevin Nguyen, I think. And that last name is one. I've had friends with that last name, and they all pronounce it differently depending on, I guess, where they're from, whether they're actually from East Asia or from here. Yeah. So I'm not really sure how it's pronounced, but Kevin Nguyen. It is about a near future in which we have incarceration camps or internment camps or detention camps for Vietnamese after some terrorist attacks. So kind of revisiting the concept of these internment camps. Very timely for what's going on right now. And they do mention migrants as a group that was targeted in this way. So this is positioned in the future from where we're at now, which is actually really good, because if you think about how long it takes to write a book and what was going on when the author would have been writing this book, yeah, it actually works. He hasn't said too much about the present to make it so that he got it wrong and throws the book off. So, yeah, well played. I've read some that try to do near futures, and then the future catches up to them in the wrong direction, and it throws their book off. There was one where their book was all about what happens when Trump wins the election that he lost, or the other way around. I don't remember which direction it went, but in an election cycle where it didn't go the way the book predicted. So, it just didn't work because history didn't match the book by the time the book was published. So, anyway. But Kevin Nguyen definitely did well with this one. So my documents, I've seen it mentioned as a book that several people think should be on book prize long lists. So far, I agree. It's a really good book. Another book that I finished that was an ARC that I ran out of time for and had to find on the library was The Antidote by Karen Russell. Also a really good book, and it's been mentioned by people as a long list possibility for prizes. And again, I could see it. It was really good. So, yeah, we've had some really good books come out. That's like, okay, tangents, Jamie. Oh my goodness. That's part of why we read the ARCs. It is so much fun to find the really good books before everybody's already started talking about them and be like, I knew that was going to be a prize winner when it was still a baby. You know, that kind of thing. So, anyway. So, for ARC August, we're reading all these ARCs that we've collected. Most of us are still getting more. The whole not getting more ARCs till we've read the ones we've got thing is the subject of many jokes. Yeah. I have actually only gotten a couple new ones since I started the month. Okay, I'll make it since the month started. Since I was starting to prep for ARC August. So I figured I'd tell you guys about some of the ones I've gotten that I will be reading in August for ARC August. I won't tell you about the ones that have already archived because you can't find them to get them anymore because they've archived. But I'll just read you off some of the ones I've got. If you've got them, take notes. That this is one that I've got as well, and we can chat about it when we're reading it next month. So I've got a few that are archiving at the end of July that we only have a few days for. Waterline by Aram Mrjoian. Until the Walls Come Down. Oh, and I'm going to bring my new accessories into play here. Until the Walls Come Down by Gal Podjarny. Cut Off from Sky and Earth by Melissa F. Miller. A Rebel's History of Mars by Nadia Afifi, which I believe is sci-fi, judging from the title. Parallel Lives by Iain Pears, which would be literary fiction, probably, because I think that's what he mostly writes. Between Two Rivers by Moudhy Al-Rashid, which is nonfiction history, I believe. Probably Arabic Peninsula or Israel area, but I haven't started it yet. Gods of a New World by Ryan Melsom, I think might be sci-fi. With Her Own Hands by Nicole Nehrig. And then we get into ones that archive in August. 10 Incarnations of Rebellion by Vaishnavi Patel and Oxford Soju Club by Jinwoo Park. These are all ones that I've downloaded and will for sure be reading. Let me switch to my other list, because on Netgalley you have not downloaded yet and give feedback. Those are two different tabs. So once you've downloaded a book, it shifts it to the give feedback list. The ones I have not downloaded yet, if they run out of time, they just shift them into archived, not downloaded for you. So it makes it convenient. So these ones I went through already and moved all the ones that archived in July into give feedback by downloading them. So I still have some that archive in August that I haven't done that with yet. The Sisterhood of Ravensbrück by Lynn Olson. Escape from Kabul by Karen Bartlett. Murder in the Greek Isles by Wendy Church. So murder mystery. Quantum Cage by Davis Bunn. Songs for Other People's Weddings by David Levithan and Jans Lekma, which I think is short stories, but I'm not sure. Sunbirth by An Yu, which has a beautiful cover. I don't know much about it. Probably literary fiction. Gorgeous cover. Where She Lies by Caro Ramsey. Witch Witch by Simon R. Green, He Who Would Walk the Earth by Griffin Bjork Clark. Okay. Your Perfect Match by Ina El Nara, which does sound like a romance, and it kind of is, but it also involves AI and is like a genre blend with romance, which I almost did not put my name in for, but genre blend with romance that is otherwise probably sci-fi. That sounds fun, actually. Miss Veal and Miss Ham by Vicky Haywood. The Lake's Water is Never Sweet by Julia Caminito. The Obsessions of Harvey Usher by David Putnam. Adventures in Radio Astronomy by Stephen Saltman. Death on Dickens Island by Alison Brooke. I think I've read another ARC by Alison Brooke. Maybe last year, year before that. Because her name sounds familiar, but I don't have any print books by her. The Answer is in the Wound by Kelly Sundberg. The Deadly Book Club by Lynn Liao Butler. Dead Early by Peter Buckman. Out of Gaza by Katharina Galor. There we go. The Far Edges of the Known World by Owen Rees. And The First 1,000 Trees by Premi Mohammed. So those are all the ones I have that archive in August or at the end of July. That last chunk was all ones that archive in August. So what it means that they archive is that after that point you can't request them anymore. Or if they were Read It Now, they're no longer available to download as a Read It Now. Read It Now just means that you don't have to request it, you just go to it and download it. The requested ones, don't be afraid to request books. If you're new to Netgalley, just request it. The worst they can do is say no. But I waited for so long to request books because I was so afraid that they were going to say no, and then someone's like, why don't you just ask? And they might say yes, and then you have the book. And yeah, sometimes they do. The percentage thing, ideally you want to have your percentages at 80% or higher to really have a chance to get the books that you really want, that you have to request. But they must take other things into account, like how many books you've read recently and all that kind of stuff, because my percentage with all the books that I have unread that are waiting in the queue is always around 30 to 40%. And I get a lot of good books. Those are just the ones that archive in July and August, and some of those you might recognize the authors or the titles or something about them, that there was something cool about those authors that would make them desirable. Or yeah, they're the ones that I used to think I would never get those because my percentage is too low, or I'm too new, or I don't have a big enough audience or whatever. But they do give them to you, and I suspect they get their money's worth, because when I like a book, I talk about it forever. So it's not just on BookTube, it's anytime I meet somebody that I think should read this book, I'm like, you should read this book. It was great. Even if it's not a book that has a huge marketing budget, they get people knowing about the book and recognizing the book and looking for the book, because people like me are like, this was such a good book. And so you have to read this book. So that's how it works. Some of the ones I'm really looking forward to that archive later. Let's see. A Bunker in Kiev by John Lyons. I've heard about this book somewhere in social media in the past, because I was following the war in Ukraine for a while, like actually watching the live streams all the time and all that stuff. So I've been getting the arcs of books about that war whenever I find them. So that one's one I've heard of before, seeing it as an arc. Death and the Gardener by Georgy Gospodinov. I know Gospodinov is one of the authors I've seen in long lists. I just don't remember where. So That one's one I recognized the author, so I had to get the book. Mrs. Pargeter's Past is one that I'm looking forward to. It's the new book in the Mrs. Pargeter series by Simon Brett. So that one should be exciting. Yeah, there's a bunch coming up that are really good. Even Song by Stuart Onan, I've seen other people mention. So it's starting to get some positive reactions. A Guardian and a Thief by Megha Majumdar. I think she had a book on the Women's Prize long list. I think that's where I know her name from. Certainly some sort of long list, because I know her name. And I haven't read the book yet, but I know I should. Yeah. I've been getting the Best American short story collections and essay collections too when I can. So I have the Best American Mystery and Suspense and the Best American Science and Nature Writing. So the first one's short stories, second one's essays. I love discovering new authors by reading those because they're short, less investment if the story's not good. And then you sometimes know the authors when they finally get to their first novel before they get there. I got A Midnight Pastry Shop Called Pawolda by Lee On-hwa. This one was compared to the Dallergate Dream Department Store, which I really liked. So that one might be really good. So yeah, lots and lots of really good books. I have a lot. I have like 128 that I haven't downloaded, and then a couple dozen that I have. I do try to keep the ones I have to 3 pages worth on the Netgalley site or less. So yeah, if you have any of the books I've read off, we should definitely chat when we're reading them. And if you have a book that you think I would like that you got as an ARC that hasn't archived yet, let me know and I can check it out and see if I can get it. I'm only using the US Netgalley at the moment. You can use other Netgalleys. So there's one for UK that a lot of people use, and I'm so tempted because I'm trying to follow these British book prizes, and they're based on British publication dates. But I'm only using the US Netgalley. So I'm seeing a lot of the books that they're seeing, just not on the same schedule. So if I want to try and guess what's going to be on the British prizes, it would be nice to be on the British site. So eventually I will, but I was going to get my current Netgalley queue down to 0 and then try the British Netgalley. Obviously, I've been getting more books, and that has not happened. But anyway, do you like my new accessories? I had to admit that I needed reading glasses. So these are just dollar store reading glasses. But yeah, it is magic. All of a sudden I can see the words and they're not blurry. So, yay. And then I have to let my eyes adjust when I take them off, which is weird. I've never worn glasses before, so these are literally my first corrective glasses ever. So, yeah. But I'm sold on it. Yeah, I probably needed reading glasses. So, anyway, so that's kind of what I'm starting with for ARC August. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this ARC's readathon game. So check out the Discord, check out the announcement video if you haven't yet. I will put the links in the description for ARC August. I am one of the leaders and for Team Azure Tides. We are going to win, of course. So if you want to be on the winning team, you should definitely join our team. It will be fun. Even if you don't join our team, you should join the readathon because it'll be fun. There's even a non-competitive team. So just like TAR this year, if you want to participate and join in all the shenanigans without having to worry about points and stress, there's a team for that. So you can be with us without having to do the crazy part. Yeah, and if you haven't tried Netgalley, I will put a link to Netgalley as well in the description so that you can go there and check it out. Sign up for an account if you don't have one and see where it gets you. And yeah, there's so much on there. There's a lot of genres that I don't look at. So if you don't read what I read, that's cool. I don't read romance unless it's that one romance sci-fi blend. And even then, I'll be looking at the sci-fi, like, try to squint through the romance bits. I don't know. I haven't read it yet. It might be really good. So, yeah. Readathon starts on the 1st of August. I got everything pretty much squared away. I'm still looking for books that are... that meet our team's bonus prompts just for the hell of it. But I think I've gotten as many arcs as I have time for at this point. So, I will see you guys in the next video. It is Thursday, tomorrow being Friday. I should be doing my weekly update, as promised, tomorrow. So you'll see me in that video tomorrow. And then... we have a few more days in the month before the end of the month, so then I'll do a wrap-up for the whole month. And we'll start into ARC August. Yeah. And I will hopefully be doing less rambly videos for the most part. I like the videos where I can hold the book and show you the book, because it gives me a prop. In these videos where it's all on a screen, like, I get distracted. So, you might be getting more of the chatty Steve Donahue style readathons from me, or reading videos from me for a while when we're doing arcs, just because he was actually the one who inspired me that, I should actually do my own channel, because that's the kind of videos I could see myself ending up doing. Like, well, if people actually watch him, and by the hundreds, his live streams, he has so many people that join in, and he's created such a community without all the bells and whistles that I don't know how to do, and I'm not sure my computer would like me to do anyway. So, yeah. So if it's going to be a little bit more chatty than you like, you feel free to fast forward through or skip through the bits that are just chatty. Yeah. Because I know I've been trying to do shorter videos. Maybe I should just not promise short videos. What do you think? Anyway, I will check with you guys in 24 hours or so on the next video. I'll probably be on sprints, various places, probably Nicole's Dusty Book Sniffers. For our time zone, that'll be this evening, so I'll be joining in for that in the chat. And I'll be around. If you join my team, don't forget to pop in the chat for our team and say hi. It's always nice to see who's joined us to win the readathon. And I will see you guys soon. Bye!